I have officially been doing YouTube for over 1 year. Let's talk about it. I feel like a good starting place is why did I start YouTube? Well, like everybody else on the fucking internet, during the OG YouTube era, we're talking Bethany Moda, Zoella, My Life as Ava, Troye Sivan, like all those YouTubers, when YouTube first began popping off. Loved it, was obsessed, wanted to do it too. I was probably 13, 14 years old. The videos that were popular at the time was like, what's in my backpack? Like morning routine, monthly favorites, hauls, and I actually did make them. I made a what's in my backpack haul. My parents found it and they were like, you cannot do this, take this down. So I had to take it down, obviously. And then I kind of did YouTube like in secret since then. I did this all throughout middle school and high school even, and actually college. I did more like vlog style videos when I got to college because I studied abroad in London, yada, yada, yada. The point is, I've been doing YouTube since I was in like 6th or 7th grade. But like not actually, you know, like it was just always something that I wanted to do but was never consistent because I was either too busy, I couldn't do it because my parents didn't want me to do it, I was in school, so my priority was grades. Now I'm almost 2 years post-grad and I really didn't have anything like lined up immediately after college. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was just like, there's no excuse for me now to not do YouTube basically. Like I can go all in to doing YouTube and like fulfill my childhood dreams of being a YouTuber. So that's kind of why I started. It's just like always been something that I wanted to do and I had no reason not to do it. Out of college, I had all the time in the world and I'm lucky enough to have the opportunity to pursue that if I really wanted to explore this path. So that's obviously what I've been doing. Upon embarking on this journey and actually taking it seriously, like committing to it, I encountered some obstacles. I have wanted to literally make this video since I started because after I started and I started encountering all these challenges, I was like, these are not things that I expected to have to deal with, if that's the right way to say it, have to learn how to handle. The way that I'm gonna like format this is I'm gonna tell you the obstacles that I encountered and then I'm gonna tell you the resolutions or the solutions that I've come to. The biggest thing that I struggled with was, how do I act in front of the camera? It was really hard for me to act normally in front of the camera because also like I felt like I would watch all of my favorite creators and they act so naturally and like so themselves. You don't even think about the fact that like they're sitting by themselves in front of a camera and just talking to themselves. All your favorite creators make it feel so natural as if they are actually having a conversation with you. And I just didn't expect that to be a challenge. Like I thought I could just press record and I would just be naturally myself. No, that's not how it was. I was so nervous. I was so stiff. It felt like trying to get to know like a new friend, like a new person when you don't know who they are and so you don't really know how to act yet. Like I felt like I was getting to know somebody for the first time. There's a couple reasons for why I think this was a problem. Not just for me, I feel like also for other people, but fear of being perceived by anybody, first of all, by anybody, but especially by the people who knew me in real life. I feel like this is pretty self-explanatory. It's just like fucking weird to be perceived. I think the biggest reason for why it was a challenge for me to act authentically is because of the fear of cancel culture. I think it's very normal to experience fear when doing something new. So my fear would get in the way of me acting authentically myself. But specifically, I think the root of it was my fear of cancel culture. And something that goes hand in hand with that is I felt like if I said something, I wasn't allowed to change my mind on it. Like if I said something, I would need to stand by whatever it is that I said for the rest of my life. Because I feel like the way the internet works is you say something and then potentially you change your mind and somebody will fucking dig through like your digital footprint and find you saying the opposite thing. Like, that's how people get canceled. I was like, I need to make sure that I'm keeping track of everything that I'm saying and staying consistent. I felt like there was no room for me to change my mind about something, which caused me to set all these kind of restrictions on things that I felt like I could say, which didn't allow me to be authentically myself. Naturally. To go hand in hand with that, I had also an intense fear of being misinterpreted. I feel like on the internet, everybody just kind of will take something that you say and like run with it. They'll like twist it into anything that fits their narrative. People on the internet who are watching, who are consumers, don't get the full context, but they think that they do. And so there are probably a lot of times where people are misinterpreting things that are being said on the internet. The last obstacle was I didn't know how to edit, but actually this was not that big of an obstacle. It was actually quite fun to learn how to edit. This was not as difficult to learn as it was to learn how to film myself and be myself in front of the camera. I'm really fucking cold. I'm gonna go get a blanket because I'm so cold. Okay, so those were the obstacles that I feel like I encountered upon starting YouTube, committing to YouTube, taking it seriously, whatever. I'm gonna give you the solutions that I came to. And it's gonna be in the same order of the obstacles that I just listed. In regards to just simply being myself in front of the camera, the more that I did it, the easier it was to act myself in front of the camera. I stopped overthinking as much and I just kind of like pressed record and I was like, okay, just go. The more you do something, the easier it becomes. You're flexing that muscle in your brain and the muscle gets stronger. In regards to the fear of being perceived, I learned that nobody gives a fuck. Nobody gives a fuck. In the beginning, I would only post my video links to my close friends' Instagram story. Actually, probably originally, I didn't even do that. I probably just would send the link to like my 3 closest friends and hope for the best. Then I think I graduated to posting the link onto my close friend's Instagram story. And then at one point I was like, well, actually it was my friends. My friends were telling me you have to put it on your Instagram. Like, you just have to. Like, how else are people going to watch your video? And I did a lot of research on how to start a successful YouTube channel before I actually started. And all of the advice was you have to post your links on your social media. Like, it's cringy or whatever, but like, you know, the whole spiel on you have to be cringy in order to succeed and whatever. We all know that spiel. And so it was really just like the pressure of my friends. So I was like, fuck it. One day I was like, fuck it, I'll just do it. Who cares? Who cares? Nobody. Literally nobody fucking cares. Everybody's just way too worried about themselves, way too worried about how you're perceiving them to give a fuck about the way that they're perceiving you. If people do judge you, the real question is, why should you give a fuck? You shouldn't. You shouldn't. Okay, next, the fear of cancel culture. How did I get over it? I cannot talk about cancel culture without also talking about TikTok. When I first started YouTube, I was using TikTok actively, very actively, every day. I actually have had quite a severe addiction to TikTok. Yes. Some might say I was chronically online. But honestly, we're all fucking chronically online at this point. Like, whatever. So TikTok was a huge contributor to this fear. I've noticed, okay, so I don't really use TikTok that much anymore. I use TikTok once a week. I have to regulate my TikTok usage, otherwise I just like cannot control myself. It's too addicting. I can talk about this for hours. Not now though. This is another topic for another day. I don't use TikTok every day anymore. I bring up TikTok because you cannot use TikTok without also reading comment sections. And the TikTok comment section is so brutal, so toxic, so negative, so polarizing. I would go on TikTok and see somebody getting canceled over, I don't even know what, like just living, just being alive. So I was like, I translated that into my life thinking like, oh, if this person on TikTok is getting canceled for this, oh, I will breathe the wrong way and somebody's gonna fucking cancel me. You know what? This might not even be exclusive to TikTok. I started feeling guilty about like my own life. Like, how do I explain? Like, I started feeling guilty for having a roof over my head because I was like, oh my God, there's people in this world who like don't have a roof over their head, and I'm so privileged to have a roof over my head. Like, what? Am I crazy for that? I should be feeling gratitude for that, and I shouldn't be afraid to like share that without people being like, oh, you go to sleep and you are safe every night. Now that I don't use TikTok as much, I found that there's so much less clutter in my brain. There's a lot more room for my real self to shine, because when I was reading all these comments all the time, I was constantly like bombarded with other people's opinions and perceptions, and I didn't have any room in my brain for my own perceptions and opinions, and as a result it like dumbed down my ability to act authentically. There was much less room in my brain for me to connect with myself and my true identity, and obviously that's gonna hinder my ability to portray myself in a way that's authentic on the internet. I have room in my brain now that I've cut down my TikTok usage for original thought and independent thinking, not being constantly bombarded with hundreds of opinions that just like are frankly irrelevant to me. Like, it's really entertaining to read comment sections, but ultimately like the effect that it has on you is not worth it. I wrote a whole fucking huge bullet point for this one. I wrote, TikTok was a huge contributor to this fear. Being chronically online exposes and subjects you to so many opinions. Nowadays, it almost feels like our opinions on things are constantly being shaped and influenced by comment sections. Like, no one can have an original thought because we go online and see hundreds and thousands of people sharing their unsolicited opinions, and if we're constantly exposing ourselves to so many opinions, that of people we don't even know, I might add, of course that's going to subconsciously start to shape how we perceive the world and have a second guessing what we actually think. Yes, this was a huge thing. I was afraid to talk about anything or share anything about my life, probably because I was being influenced by comment sections. And I saw how people interacted with each other in comment sections. And I was like, I don't want to say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing or like be misinterpreted, not to mention how negative people are online, especially TikTok, and TikTok is the primary source on entertainment these days. It's also so easy to be mean online because of the anonymous nature of being able to share your thoughts without having to connect your real identity to it. There's no consequence when commenting stuff on TikTok. You don't need to face anybody, so it's really easy to be negative. Also, arguably, comment sections are not real thoughts. I honestly don't know how this ties into like my entire point of how I got over the fear of cancel culture, but we're talking about it anyways. Basically, what I mean by that is I feel like comments are like, you know how we have, I don't know what the actual stat is, but like X amount of thoughts a day, and like most of those thoughts are just like random bullshit that pop up into our minds and then they're gone the next second. That's what I think comments are most of the time. Like, I think about the way that I used to comment on TikToks. I would just like react immediately to a piece of content, comment some bullshit, and then move on. Like, I don't know what the fuck I've commented on other people's posts. They're just underdeveloped thoughts. Thoughts that you have for a split second and decide to post because it's easy and you can. Comments are like the split second passing thoughts that we have on a daily basis, but the difference is we can really quickly type it in literal seconds, share it, and forget about it. Also, comment sections contain comments from thousands of people. We read the opinions of thousands of people every day. Even if it's not directed at us, we are still being exposed to how people are reacting to other people, especially celebrities. If I'm seeing a celebrity being canceled over the smallest thing, or even something that I do as well, I can't help but think, if I were that celebrity, would I get canceled over the same thing? Being chronically online also pushes people to develop hyper-polarizing stances. Like, everything on the internet is so black and white, but we forget that real life is complex and dynamic, and there's always more to a story than we know. Referring back to the thing that I said about context, it's also okay and normal for people to disagree, to have differing experiences. It's what makes us beautiful and unique, and it's what makes life life. a huge reason for why I feel like I couldn't be myself on camera was because I was afraid of offending anybody, afraid of being misinterpreted, afraid of later down the line being canceled, because also everybody gets canceled. Everybody gets canceled. Every like person who is very visibly in the public eye, accessible to the public, goes through some kind of period where they're getting canceled. And people get mad over nothing. Literally nothing. So I was just, I was just scared of like literally breathing the wrong way and somebody getting mad about that. But also I look at all of my favorite creators and their periods of like getting canceled and how they dealt with it. And I'm like, they don't care. Like, I mean, I guess they do. They probably do. Like, I think anybody's like first time getting like massively canceled probably like really sucks. I don't think people who comment actually think about how somebody on the other side of receiving those comments is affected. Like, we're all human. All of us are human, and all of us are gonna be affected if somebody says something mean to you or makes an assumption about you that is not accurate, especially people who make these assumptions based off of something taken out of context, something that has no context. People are just really fucking mean online. Anyways, I thought about my favorite creators and how they've all been canceled in one way or another, and they're fine. They're still thriving. I still love them. As long as you are not harming anybody, get your bag, you know? Like, you can just protect your peace. I'm talking in regards of like what people get canceled over. Is this just a discussion about cancel culture at this point? I could probably talk about that too. Anyways, I'm talking about people getting canceled over trivial bullshit. Like, bullshit. Not that real shit. Not real shit. Because there are some people who are canceled for good reason who still get their bag, you know? Whatever. I just, at the same time, like, we just don't know these people that we think we know online. And I just feel like it's really weird that we feel the need to share our opinion on somebody else's life. I don't know. I think cancel culture is really fucking stupid. That's what I think. Okay, and I was really scared of it in the beginning, but I don't think I give a fuck anymore. Like, I've never been canceled, so like, I really wouldn't know what it's like to be on that end. I'm sure it doesn't feel good, and I'm so anxious. I'm so anxious, and I used to concern myself very heavily with the opinions of others. I don't do that anymore, but I don't know. If I ever get canceled, I don't want to think about it. Moving on to the point of feeling like I wasn't allowed to change my mind on the internet. I think this was just like more of a personal thing for me that went hand in hand with my acceptance of cancel culture and the way I processed how I felt about that. If I say something that I don't even mean to say, like, there is plenty of shit that I've said in the videos that I've posted a year ago, I'm sure, that like, I didn't even really mean because I didn't know how to act like myself in front of the camera yet. And so I was just saying shit. You know, and B, like, just saying shit that I don't agree with anymore. Like, I don't share the same perspective that I had a year ago. And this is so normal. Like, we're fucking human. We are multifaceted, complex, dynamic creatures. Like, we are allowed to change our minds. And we are allowed to say something on the internet and then a year later change our minds about it. Because think about it. When you were, I don't know, 10 fucking years old, you probably thought something. You don't think that same way. Even a year ago, like, we'd all change so much, hopefully, that I'm sure there are things that you have said, you have thought, and you have even behaviors like that you have done a year ago that you don't agree with anymore. And that's so fucking normal, and it's so natural, and it's so okay. The only difference is people who put themselves online subject themselves to the scrutiny of the public. Okay, I'm gonna read this one too. I've pretty much said everything. I'm just gonna read it. I've been able to act more authentically in front of the camera because I'm no longer scared of feeling like if I said something a year ago on camera that I have to agree with it a year later. When you put stuff on the internet, it almost feels like you need to stand by everything that you say until the end of time, and anything can be taken out of context or misinterpreted, or even the sense of this didn't age well. Oh my god, this is so true. It's normal and natural and good to grow and change and evolve what you think about things. Okay, next, fear of being misinterpreted. A lot of this has been a journey of self-acceptance, actually. I've just accepted that, like, people are gonna misinterpret things that I say, and it's fucking fine. Like, it's okay. You know, people in real life misinterpret things that I say all the time. I misinterpret things that other people say all the time. It's just a natural thing that happens when you're communicating, I feel like. I don't want to like stress over something that I can't control. I cannot control somebody's interpretation of something that I've said. I can't control somebody's perception of me. So why am I about to stress? It's gonna happen. It's inevitable. Real life or online. People misinterpret things all the time. And the last thing was editing. Editing is like probably the only fucking technical thing that I'm going to talk about. I've watched a couple of other like things I wish I knew before starting YouTube, or like whatever, like those kinds of videos. And they're all very technical. They always tell you very technical things to think about before starting YouTube, like shit about the algorithm. But I feel like I haven't heard anybody talk about how much self-acceptance that you need to have, or like just like the emotional and mental growth that you undergo. But editing, like, it wasn't really an emotional process. Like, for sure it was mentally taxing to like learn a new skill, but like it was fun, you know? Like, now I can like do some cool shit on my computer. And also, like, I love now talking to like other editors or like other photographers, even filmmakers. I have a lot of like film friends, and we bond over this. I just like appreciate film actually a lot more, and I notice editing and stuff way more, and I appreciate it a lot more because I know how much goes into it. Like, things that you don't even know that would go into creating video go into creating video. And also, like, I am a creative person. I'm an artist. Video editing has given me an outlet for that creativity. Whatever. Everybody in fucking Los Angeles is a creative. Shut up. Okay, in conclusion, these are just like random thoughts that I've written down throughout the year of doing YouTube. None of your work ever comes out perfect. Okay, I guess this is like a good one. None of your work ever comes out perfect, but that's the point, and that's what makes it good, and that's how you grow. I feel like I hear a lot of people talk about how their oh my god, this is so good actually. Their circumstances need to be perfect in order to do something. Or like the thing that you put out has to be perfect before you put it out. If that's the way that you want to approach something, you're never going to do it. You're literally, I'm sorry, but it's never going to happen for you. I had to get over that too. Like, I think the reason why it took so long for me to actually commit to doing YouTube is because I was like, no, I need to do this thing before I do this. Or like, I need to be in this environment before I do that. If I had waited to start my channel for, I don't know, whatever the most ideal circumstance would be for me, I would still not be doing it. In the beginning, I was just kind of learning how to do it. Now I can actually apply purpose. By me just starting, I've been able to filter through the things that I didn't necessarily like making and find the things that I actually am fulfilled by making. And I wouldn't have been able to discover any of this if I hadn't just started. It took me committing when I wasn't ready, when the circumstances weren't perfect, for me to finally be quote unquote ready to do it, whatever that means. Because there's never going to be a perfect time. You're never going to be ready to do anything. And I still don't even know. Like, I'm still exploring different video subjects and stuff. Because sometimes you think that you want to do a certain thing, and then you actually do it, and then you realize, no, that's not actually how I want to do it, or what I want to do. It takes doing it to know, basically. Now that I've learned how to act in front of a camera like myself, and how to edit, like, those are, I feel like, are the two biggest things. Like, obviously there's technical stuff behind it, like using a camera and like the algorithm. The two biggest things for me, at least, have been like authenticity and like learning how to edit. And now that I know how to do those two things, I can really think about what it is that I want to put out, instead of just, because for the first year it was like, okay, I'm just going to put out a video a week for the sake of consistency, you know, for the sake of learning, because there's always a learning curve. Now that I'm kind of past the learning curve, I can really focus on like what it is that I'm putting out. You're not going to grow if you're not putting imperfect stuff out. And I also almost feel like the content that I most enjoy consuming is the imperfect content. Like, oh my god, I cannot express. I love things that are imperfect. I feel like everything, we all talk about this. Everything online is so curated to perfection. I know we are so fucking tired of seeing all that. Even when I finish a video and like I think it's done, there's always something that I can change. And I think this is a universal experience for creatives. because we're always growing. There's always more to learn and there's always more to improve. You can create the most perfect thing that you can create and put it out, and there's always going to be something that you are going to want to change. Like, it's as perfect as it can be for the moment, but I'm going to get better every single time, hopefully. There's going to be something wrong with everything, but I also think that's what makes content good. That vulnerability. That's what I like in content. So obviously that's what I'm gonna try to emulate. Anyways, okay, in conclusion, this has been unexpectedly a journey of self-acceptance. Because also, you record yourself doing menial tasks and then you have to watch yourself back over and over and over and over again. And then you pick up on these little things. You're like, oh my God, why do I do that? This has been a journey of self-acceptance for sure. And it still is. Like, I am still working on all of these things. But I guess the good thing is, like, I can talk about this without fear of, like, all the things that I was afraid of a year ago. And I can talk about it in a way where, like, I would talk about this in the same exact way with my friends. Like, there's nothing that's different. And I don't feel like I need to, like, perform or, like, act in a certain way. I'm just gonna end on, if you're thinking about starting a YouTube channel or, like, anything, like, not even just a YouTube channel, like, if you're thinking about doing anything and you're not sure, you have reservations and doubts, you never know until you do it. Like, you just do not know what is gonna happen or what you're gonna learn or what you're gonna get from it until you do it. So you should just do it. Fuck it. I'm actually so glad I wrote an outline for this. I almost just didn't write an outline for this because I was really, I was like, I just want to get right into it. I just want to get right in. No, I'm so glad I wrote an outline for this. Everybody says, like, write an outline. If you're going to do a podcast, write an outline. And hey, I'm not out here saying that I am about to start a podcast because I tried that and I don't think podcasting consistently is for me. Like, I'm only gonna do this when I have something to say. Anyways, okay, that's all. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully it made sense. Bye. I'm fucking nervous. Why am I nervous? I have an outline. I'm gonna be fucking fine. It's not that serious. I can do it over again if I want to. I can always add more if I want to. Why am I nervous? Okay. On the for some, it was just, what is my point? Holy shit. I actually don't know if I'm cold or just fucking nervous to be filming this. What? Other oh my God, I'm sorry. An unexpected, this has just been an oh my God. All right, that's it. That was so exciting. Oh my God, that was so exciting. I knew I would get right into it. I was so scared for no reason. That was so much fun. I don't even want to go. I'm ready to keep fucking talking. No, it's time to go. Okay. Goodbye.